The foundation for marketing is the production of something that is better and using that thing that is a better fit for someone and connecting it to create a new connection. And the process of creating something that is better requires us to leverage empathy. Because if we don't do the work of understanding the other person first, then we have no chance of creating something that they would like. One approach is to just create something that we like, put it out into the market, and hope that other people will like it as well. But this is a very common approach, and as we've seen, it tends to not work out. And the reason it doesn't is because we didn't start with empathy. And our unique needs are not going to match the needs of the people we seek to serve, not necessarily, and in most cases it won't, because there's so many elements that have to be aligned with the idea of better that if we take the approach of just creating something for ourselves, what ends up happening is some elements will be aligned with better, and a lot of other elements will be out of alignment. So the alternative process is to start with the group that you seek to serve in mind and do the work of empathy, of understanding what they want, how they would want things, what they would care about, what they know, and so on, and to create something with that in mind. And you have much better chances of creating something that is better. And it won't always be the case that you end up creating something that they consider better, but at least with this approach, we get a North Star that we can test and iterate until we finally reach that goal we are seeking to reach. Just finished watching a movie called Project Hail Mary. If you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend it. It's a great movie. I won't go into any spoilers, but there is a scene where, or throughout the movie, the main character, Ryan Gosling, develops a strong connection with the alien, which you'll figure out is named Rocky. There's no major spoilers. But the process that they go through is of first understanding each other, of communicating. And that is the process that we have to do. We have to understand what the other person is thinking, how they think, and decode that and understand what they want, and let that be the basis of creating something. When we're able to do that, we create something that aligns closely with what their beliefs of better is. And when you have something that aligns with it, you get something that's meaningful. And we know that when things are more meaningful to us, it creates a value asymmetry. So two children might be the same, but if one is your child, then there is much more meaning attached. That when there is something more meaningful to us, let's say a plate that was handed down by your grandparents versus a random generic plate, that we're willing to pay much more money because we value that meaningful thing more. So empathy allows for creation of meaningful, which ends up being subjectively defined by the individual as better. So that's the macro process of marketing in a nutshell. We've for long focused and thought of marketing as just the perception. Let's create just an average product, a generic product, and leverage marketing in order to make sales. Where the new approach must be to create something that is meaningful first and then do the work of creating those connections. Because what happens today is that we no longer control the means of creating those connections. It's slowly slipping away from our grasp. That communication with the customers is not organization to the consumer. It's too expensive and costly now because there's too many ways for people to combat things like advertisements and just completely ignore and block it out. People aren't as receptive anymore. Their default attitude is to ignore and reject. So in this new environment, what happens is communication doesn't happen from organization to individual. It happens from individual to individual laterally, horizontally. So with that effect in mind, the best way to create more awareness and more visibility, the old ideas of marketing, the best way to achieve that is to create something meaningful. Because once something is meaningful, the individuals, it's in their power now to spread and transmit information and for others to search for and find that information. Hope that was helpful. Hope that changes your thoughts on what marketing is and what it isn't, how it's driven by our desire to find things that are better. And for the marketer's job is to create things that would be interpreted as better, as more meaningful, and do the work of connecting people to it, which is now a process that is going to be done by understanding how our relationships with the individuals who are going to spread the word about us and being able to leverage that. All right, so kind of longer video today that goes over many different topics, but I hope you followed along, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.